Hello friends, George here, welcome to the channel. Today we are going to do a speed comparison between two floppy drive simulators for the Commodore Plus/4. The PI1541 version 3, which simulates a 1541 floppy drive, and the so-called TCBM2SD parallel drive, which simulates the 1551 floppy drive. To get an idea of the loading speeds, I will load a sequence of pre-rendered animation frames, which shows a rotating TIE fighter. The frames are pre-rendered with my self-written 3D renderer called 3D Engine. I bought the PI1541 drive recently and I already did 2 videos about it. It's a very nice device and it loaded every software and game I wanted so far. But the downside of it is that it's slow. A friend of mine, MMS, hello my friend, sent me the TCBM2SD drive and it's plugged into the Plus/4's expansion port, the port where you also put cartridges in. The speed difference between these drives are significant. How significant shows this table here. So here we have the 1541, which has about a transfer rate of 430 bytes per second. Then the TCBM2SD in normal mode with 3100 bytes per second, 7 times as fast. And the TCBM2SD drive in fast mode with 9300 bytes per second. That's 21 as fast as the reference drive. We will load 2 slideshows on both drives. The first contains uncompressed full-screen frames and the second slideshow contains compressed frames. I call them slideshows because the Plus/4 is too slow for full-screen animation. So let's dive in. In our first test, we are loading every frame of our slideshow as raw bitmap into memory from the PI1541. Raw means here that I have saved the bitmap information from screen memory to a file. This is high resolution mode with a resolution of 320 per 200 pixels, which means that we load 64,000 bits, which equals roughly 8 kilobytes. In the bottom right you see which drive is used and the timer, which resets after a frame is loaded. The PI1541 takes about 20 seconds to load a frame at a speed rate of 430 bytes per second. This is the slowest method to load bitmaps from disk. The 3D model of this TIE fighter consists of estimated 500 vertices, and to render one frame took me about 20 minutes back then when I did this slideshow a few years ago. This is a nice example why real-time 3D animation in the 80s was very difficult and expensive, and you needed a supercomputer like a Cray to get some decent results in a reasonable amount of time. In our second test, every frame is loaded as compressed bitmap information from the PI1541 with the same speed as before. The Plus/4 loads the data from SD card, decompresses it on the fly into screen memory. You can see the decompression when a frame overwrites the previous frame. The tool I used back then in 2020 for compressing the frames is called Exomizer, and the slideshow loader is written in BASIC. I stuck with BASIC back then because I couldn't get the assembly code working. As you can see, loading time per frame is reduced to about 6.5 seconds per frame. This takes roughly 33% the time of the previous method, but still is too slow for my taste. At that point I gave up my experiments and I hoped that one day a faster drive will be available. I was really disappointed back then because I really wanted to do full screen animation on real Commodore Plus/4 hardware. One or 2 weeks ago my friend MMS sent me the new TCBM drive from Hungary and I tried to find a way how to test its promised speed. Then I remembered my animation experiment from the past with a TIE fighter, and the idea for this video was born. In our third test, we switch to the TCBM drive and load the uncompressed frames from the drive in normal mode first. In normal mode because I couldn't load the program in turbo mode, which is activated through its special file explorer. Every frame needs about 2 seconds, which is 10% of the time the PI1541 needed. This is already a fantastic speed up. Since this drive uses the parallel port, I did expect it to be faster, but not that fast. I'm really surprised. This is the file explorer which I mentioned previously, and it comes with a drive. It enables us to load in fast mode. In our fourth and last test, we load the compressed frames with basic again, and we can see that every frame needs roughly about 1 second. Amazing speed up if you compare it to the last test. Twice as fast compared to the last test and 20 times as fast compared to the first test. This is really fascinating, and we have to consider that there is further room for improvements if and when the basic loader will be written in assembly one day. Maybe my personal dream to realize full screen animation with 24 frames per second on a +4 will also become reality in the future. Who knows? I'm very happy to share this experiments and personal vision of mine with you, and I have to thank my good old friend MMS again for sending me this fantastic piece of hardware and inspiring me for making this video, by the way. Let's sum up the results of our 4 tests. First, we tried the PI1541 and loaded uncompressed frames at the rate of 20 seconds per frame. Second, we loaded from the same drive compressed frames at the rate of 6 seconds per frame. Third, we used the new CBM drive and observed that it loads uncompressed frames at the rate of 2 seconds per frame in normal speed mode. And last but not least, we loaded compressed frames with basic in fast mode at the rate of 1 second per frame. That was the comparison between the TCBM2SD drive and the PI1541-3 drive. The new CBM drive helped us in a great way to improve the frame rate on my slideshow, and it really shows that it's about 20 times faster in turbo mode. So if you are going for speed, choose the CBM drive. It's a great choice, and it also features another cool thing. It allows you to load additional program ROMs. In my case, it also loads BASIC 7.0 and a mouse driver. On the other hand, if you want a drive that looks great and matches your setup, or you like navigating through the disk images with a knob like me, then choose the PI1541-3, which I prefer for normal use. The perfect drive would be a PI1551, which also has the speed and ROM features of the CBM drive. So friends, that's it for today. I have 954 subscribers at the moment. I would be very thankful if you help me to reach the 1000 before the year 2024 ends. This would make me very happy and would motivate me to keep on making videos. Thank you very much for watching. Have a nice day or evening depending on where you are. Leave also a like or comment if you want, and see you in the next one. Bye bye.